called their ego is now involved. Okay, so that's a psychological term. Many people have different definitions of what that means. To me, it just means that it's the part of you that recognizes that you are a separate person from other people and looks to constantly protect yourself from being hurt. So this is all about safety. And so this says, I'm not going to allow people to hurt me. I'm not going to let myself get in situations where I'm going to get hurt. So as you go along in life, as a child, maybe your mother or father said things to you and it felt hurtful, or it was, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, or beat you, or hit you, or whatever they did. And then your ego gets involved, and subconsciously you say things to yourself and make stories out of that situation to protect yourself and be safe. So maybe the story is, well, if I would have been a better daughter or a better son, she wouldn't have hit me, or she wouldn't have yelled at me, or he wouldn't have abandoned me, or whatever the situation was, if I would have been better. So right away, in your childhood, your ego goes towards being safe, and the safest way you can be is when you're in control, and the way to be in control is by blaming yourself. If you have responsibility for it, you have control. I feel safe now. So it's my fault that my daddy left, or it's my fault that my mommy hit me. And if I'll do better, then they won't do that anymore. So then you start equating people's love for you and your worthiness of love with, and your safety in relationships with your behaviors. So it starts at an early age. Very early, it starts getting imprinted. And so as you get older, you start to see that that doesn't work in interpersonal relationships. It actually is a hindrance. And the more you come from a safety position, an ego position, the less you're able to engage fully in a relationship. Remember, if you're coming from a complete ego-based position and you're all about safety and security, and I'm not going to let anybody hurt me, you're like this with everybody. I don't give a shit how many times you tell somebody you love them. You're really keeping them out here. So that ego's got to come down, and you've got to feel safe enough and balanced enough to actually really be able to love somebody and come from I want happiness perspective rather than I want to be safe and I want to protect myself. So early on, we start adapting beliefs that we are our behaviors and that we have to perform or do things in order for people to love us. And that needs to change. If you've adapted that as your belief system, that needs to change. Because if you believe your behaviors, you're never going to be good enough. Now that to me doesn't feel good. I've never met a person that does feel good about that belief. I'm never enough. I always have to try to be just good enough for somebody else to love me.